Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'll take a call on behalf of New Zealand First in the Financial Markets Conduct Bill. Can I firstly start by saying it is a great disappointment this evening that we have not heard one single apology from the government for taking 5 years to get to this point. They have not apologised to the 250,000 New Zealand investors who lost their money, many of which lost their life savings through the shonky markets, the shonky financial institutions, the shonky governance that was in place in this country under this national government for the last 5 years. Not one of the national members has stood up and made any form of apology to the many hard-working people around New Zealand who have lost a great deal of money, and they must be asking why has it taken so long for it to get to this point, while other legislation under this government has been ramroded through with urgency. We have seen legislation for the likes of charter schools, for the sale of state assets, for the GCSB spy bill, for the local government, ripping local government apart, the Local Government Act, the Resource Management Act again being ripped apart. All sorts of other good legislation in this country has been pulled apart and ripped apart and decimated, while this legislation, which had full support across the House from most parties apart from the Green Party, but this legislation to properly overhaul the financial markets in this country and take it from being a cowboy situation into a proper 21st century financial situation with our financial markets. They have let this just wallow for 5 years. This was brought by a Labor government with support of New Zealand First back in those days in 2007, 2008. This was brought before this Parliament a long time ago, and it's taken 5 years to finally get to this third reading. And now we're doing it under what we call urgency. Well, isn't that just absolutely ironic that it's taken 5 years and now under urgency this government wants to put it through this evening? New Zealand First is supporting this because, as we have always said, good policy which is for the benefit of New Zealanders, for the benefit of the New Zealand economy, for the good of all New Zealanders is what New Zealand First is all about, and we thoroughly support this. We support the fact that it will ensure that fund managers and supervisors of schemes such as KiwiSaver will have tighter controls and regulations. And with so many people now invested in the likes of KiwiSaver, it is increasingly important that the likes of this legislation is in place to ensure that the controls are there. We like the fact that directors and those who might be found out to be wanting in this area, who might wish to not wish to maintain the laws of this country, if they're found to be at fault, could be subject to up to $1 million in fines as individuals or $5 million as companies. Again, it sends a strong message to many of these past perpetrators that this sort of activity and this way of acting in our financial markets will not be tolerated. It aims to strike a better balance between issuers and investors, and improvements in the controls and regulations will give greater confidence to our capital markets. This is most important at this time, that our capital markets do have greater confidence. Around the world, there is some level of uncertainty in many countries. New Zealand, we have been very fortunate that because we are such a strong agricultural-based economy, that we are a very strong export economy based on our rural agricultural history, and the fact that we have been sitting under the shadow of the Australian economy, which has been very strong through this whole period. Very fortunate that our big brother across the Tasman has weathered the global financial crisis in a reasonably sound manner, and New Zealand has benefited as a result from that. It is very fortunate that we are in a position that we have not, we certainly have not come out the end of the global financial crisis in a much worse state. But to the 250,000 New Zealand investors who lost a lot of money, they must still be wondering how did it all happen. And how, Mr Speaker, did it happen and did it occur that the likes of South Canterbury Finance ended up $1.6 billion in the red, owing so much money? And how was it that over a period of the last 6 months of that institution, they were allowed to continue taking deposits and continue taking money off innocent investors, while our authorities, our Reserve Bank and our Treasury were completely blind to the whole situation, and while the government itself too was not aware of what was going on? And so more innocent money, innocent investment money was lost as a result of simply people taking their eye off the ball and allowing these sort of shonky cowboy financial activities to continue in New Zealand. The Financial Markets Conduct Bill, it's a weighty document, it's hundreds and hundreds of pages. I do commend all those who have been involved in putting it together. It's been a very good exercise in how it's been constructed. I can congratulate the former Minister Leanne Dizelle for doing this, and I wish her well in her mayoral campaign in Christchurch. And I do thank her for what she did in terms of getting this bill underway under the Labor government. I also congratulate the Minister Craig Foss, who is a recent minister who seen fit to keep it moving and get this through. But once again, I would repeat that this is the sort of thing where this Parliament does let itself down, and there should be no excuse, and this government has no excuse, for allowing this particular bill to have taken 5 years to get to this point. We've known for years now that there were some significant problems in our financial markets, that we had in excess of 60 companies go belly up in the financial industry, and as a result that should have been setting off huge alarm bells a long time ago to get this pushed through far sooner than the likes of charter schools, state-owned assets and spying on New Zealanders. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Speaker.
Clear. Curran.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, I'll acknowledge the work done by the